Good evening, this is BrassTacks. I'm Zakka Jacob. BJP MLA T. Raja Singh from Hyderabad made some derogatory comments about Prophet Muhammad, much like what was said by Nupur Sharma. He was arrested by the Hyderabad police. He was produced before a magistrate who granted him bail. Now, no one can condone what Raja Singh said, and he deserves to go to jail for the same. But in response, large crowds are raising slogans of Sar Tan Se Juda. Among them is a corporator who belongs to Mr. Owaisi's party, the AIMIM. The question that we're asking right on top here of BrassTacks is who is going to take action against these folks, including the MIM corporator. Yes, Raja Singh action has been taken, and rightly so, but what about these people who do not believe in rule of law, but instead believe in Sar Tan Se Juda, that the head must be removed from the body for what they feel is an insult to their religion? Why no action against those folks? All that and more through the course of the next 40 minutes here on BrassTacks. But first, the story of what has been a pretty dramatic day in the city of Nizams.
Hours after he was booked for his derogatory comments against Prophet Muhammad, BJP MLA Raja Singh was arrested in Hyderabad. The flashpoint is a now-deleted video in which Raja Singh insulted Prophet Muhammad while taking a swipe at comedian Munawar Farooqi, whose show he had tried to disrupt. After the video went viral, protests broke out in different parts of Hyderabad, demanding action against him.
मैं कोई बयान को देखा नहीं अभी पार्टी का निर्णय क्या हो वो भी मालूम नहीं वो पार्टी जो भी करेगा हाईकमान निर्णय लेते हैं वो आदेश उधर से आते हैं.
While the BJP has suspended Raja Singh, the opposition is now questioning the pattern, coming as it does after the storm over former BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma's similar remarks on the Prophet.
These sort of statements will not be stopped by BJP leaders. They feel that this is the best way of taking forward their political program in Telangana or other parts of India to create hatred against the Muslims.
While Owaisi condemned Raja Singh's remark, a corporator from his own party raised Sar Tan Se Juda slogans while protesting against the BJP MLA. So whether it's Raja Singh or the AIMIM corporator, who will stop these bigots?
Now, while Raja Singh was released on bail this evening by the Additional Chief Metropolitan Magistrate in Hyderabad, throughout the day today, there have been massive protests across Hyderabad, and while objecting against one man's derogatory statement, protesters have been chanting slogans of Sar Tan Se Juda, or openly calling for beheading for what they perceive as a blasphemous insult to Prophet Muhammad. Now, it was not just the AIMIM councillor. His name is Zafar Khan. He's the councillor from Mallepalli in Hyderabad. He was caught on camera chanting the provocative slogan against Raja Singh and his supporters. Also in other parts of Hyderabad, beheading calls have been ringing through the air. So the question is, yes, Raja Singh had no business saying what he said, and he has been arrested, now given bail. But what about these others who are equally guilty of inciting passions? Who is going to act against them? Joining us on the talking point this evening here on BrassTacks, Kalimul Hafiz is the Delhi AIMIM president, Krishank Mane, spokesperson of the TRS, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author, Rishi Bagri, political analyst, and Karam Komi Reddy is an advocate. Let me start with Kalimul Hafiz, Delhi AIMIM president. Mr. Hafiz, I just ran the visuals of a man named Zafar Khan. He's a corporator belonging to your party from Mallepalli in Hyderabad, and he's seen on camera, on footage, raising slogans and inciting a crowd with the nara of Sar Tan Se Juda, Sar Tan Se Juda. While you say that Raja Singh should be acted against, he should be arrested and he should be put behind bars, what about Zafar Khan? Shouldn't the same law also apply to him as much as it applies to Raja Singh?
देखिए, कोई भी संविधान के खिलाफ काम करेगा तो उसके खिलाफ संविधान अपना काम करेगा. हमारे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बैरिस्टर असदुद्दीन ओवैसी साहब ने भी इस तरह के नारों को कंडेम किया है. हम भी कंडेम करते हैं, चाहे वो हमारी पार्टी का हो या दूसरी पार्टी का हो. सवाल हमारा पार्टी के इंटरनल एक्सप्लेनेशन का है तो हम उनको एक्सप्लेनेशन कॉल कर रहे हैं, हम उससे पूछेंगे और पुलिस अपना काम करेगी.
नहीं,
लेकिन
ये
मुद्दा
बताइए
ये नहीं,
नहीं हफीज
ये
साहब,
तो-
नहीं ये बताइए कि आप कह रहे हैं कि ये आपके पार्टी के इंटरनल मामला है। इंटरनल
नहीं,
मामला
नहीं,
कैसे हुआ?
नहीं,
ये
मैंने आपसे कहा,
खुलेआम सड़क पे या वो भी पुलिस स्टेशन के सामने खड़े होकर एक क्राउड को इंसाइट करते हुए कह रहा है कि सर तन से जुदा। ये आपकी
मैंने
पार्टी के
आपने
इंटरनल
सुना
मामला
नहीं।
कैसे हुआ?
आपने सुना नहीं जो मैंने कहा पुलिस अपना काम करेगी, पुलिस का जो इशू है वो पुलिस देखेगी, हमारा जो अपना पार्टी का इंटरनल मैटर है वो हम एक्सप्लेनेशन उनको कॉल करेंगे। लेकिन दूसरी बात
नहीं,
ये है,
आप तो
जो
बताइए
असल
ना,
मुद्दा
साफ साफ
है,
बताइए
बीजेपी
दर्शकों
ने
को कि
वहाँ
जैसे
का
राजा
अमन-ओ-अमान
सिंह को
खत्म
अरेस्ट किया गया आज, ऐसे ही पुलिस को जफर खान को भी अरेस्ट करना चाहिए। बताइए साफ साफ।
आप मुझे एक बात बताइए, क्या अनुराग ठाकुर को देश के गद्दारों और गोली मारो डैश डैश क्या अरेस्ट किया था? एफआईआर तक नहीं की थी। अगर एफआईआर करने चली गई थी, हाई कोर्ट के जज ने कहा था, तो हाई कोर्ट
सर,
के
आप
जज का
पुरानी
ट्रांसफर
बातें
किया।
मत उलझा
क्या
के लेके
आपने-
आइए।
नहीं,
मैं आज की बात कर रहा हूं, और
मैं आपको
मैंने
सर,
टॉप पे
आप-
जो बोला
आप-
आपने सुना नहीं शायद। राजा
देखिए,
सिंह ने जो
जगह-
कहा एब्सोल्युटली निंदनीय है, उसको जो भी सजा है वो मिलना चाहिए। लेकिन आप ये बताएंगे
अनुराग
कि
ठाकुर
जफर
को
खान
सजा
को भी
मिली?
ऐसे ही सजा मिलना चाहिए?
मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, अनुराग ठाकुर के लिए भी सजा की डिमांड करेंगे आप?
नहीं,
उनको तो
मैं आपसे
प्रमोशन मिल
पूछ रहा हूँ ना, आज जो घटना घटी उसके बारे में बताइए। आप ये हिस्ट्री लेसन
देखिए,
क्यों
आज
लेके आ रहे हैं?
जो असल घटना है वो है इस देश की छवि को दागदार किया है। आपको पता है नूपुर शर्मा ने ये गलती की थी, तो उसके बाद देश के कितना शर्म से सर झुका था। 17 देशों में हमारे राजदूतों को डिमाश किया
तो
गया
उसका
था।
जो भी सजा
25
है,
देशों में
नुपुर
हमारे
शर्मा को
भारतीय
मिल गया ना
कंपनियों
सजा।
का प्रोडक्ट का
जैसे
बहिष्कार
आज
हुआ
राजा
था।
सिंह को मिला
क्या आप
सजा,
चाहते हैं
ऐसे
कि
ही
इसी
नुपुर
तरीके से
शर्मा को भी
दोबारा
मिला। लेकिन आप तो आपके पार्टी के आदमी के बारे में तो कुछ बोल ही नहीं रहे हैं।
नहीं, आप असल में चाह रहे हैं कि टी राजा से मुद्दा हटकर जो टी राजा की सजा के लिए पब्लिक
नहीं,
डिमांड
मेरा
कर रही थी पुलिस
शो
कमिश्नर
के
बाहर,
शुरुआत में
वो भी
पहला
ये डिमांड
सेंटेंस तो
इसलिए कर रही थी।
टी राजा के ऊपर ही था, और मैं अभी भी दोहरा रहा हूं, टी राजा को जो सख्त सजा मिलनी चाहिए, उसके सख्त से सख्त सजा उसको मिलनी चाहिए। लेकिन
जी।
आप क्यों नहीं कह रहे कि जफर खान को भी ऐसी सजा मिलना चाहिए?
नहीं,
क्योंकि
मैंने आपसे शुरू में-
क्योंकि वो आपके पार्टी के जन है, इसलिए।
नहीं, मैंने आपसे शुरू में कहा कि जो संविधान है अपना काम करेगा, कानून अपना काम करेगा, लेकिन हम इस तरह के नारे का कोई हम सपोर्ट नहीं करते।
Let me
condemn
ask
करते।
Krishank Mane.
इसको और हम
Krishank
कैसे
Mane,
कहें आप?
you represent the TRS. You are the ruling party in Telangana. You control the police, and the police, rightfully so, they went and took action against Mr. T. Raja Singh. But what about this gentleman, Zafar Khan? You can see the footage of him. I'm playing that footage. He's the corporator of the MIM from Mallepalli constituency. He is seen openly inciting a crowd and shouting the Nara Sar Tan Se Juda, which has no place in a civilized society like India. Why is the Hyderabad police not showing the same alacrity, not showing the same enthusiasm to go after Zafar Khan as they did with T. Raja Singh?
Well, Zakka, a wrong is not an answer for another wrong. Raja Singh statements and the sloganeering is definitely wrong and not accepted in the civil society. Telangana police, government of Telangana, has been seeing these visuals, all the visuals, who has headed the gathering yesterday night, who were the ones who initiated slogans, what slogans were this, and whom were they indicating it? Was it at a group? Was it at a political party? Or was it at Raja Singh? Because based on the slogans, what the clips are being telecasted in the media, yes, you have been saying it that Sar Tan Se Juda. But kiska? Whose?
नहीं, किसी का भी हो, Krishank. How does it matter? No,
one second.
If it is Raja Singh, also it is still inciting violence. No, the answer to a sir, one second. Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. The answer or the response to a blasphemous comment or an insulting comment cannot be, I'm going to call for his beheading. That is violence. तो फिर सऊदी अरेबिया और इंडिया में क्या फर्क है, या सीरिया और इंडिया में क्या फर्क है?
Zakka, because the government, the Telangana police is acting suo motu here, and there is no complaint yet from anyone. So we have to, when we are establishing a case, the investigating agency has to see all the corners.
Sure.
So definitely tomorrow they will be booked too. There is no any kind of exemption or bias towards anything. But the larger point, what we are trying to tell today is that there is a conspiracy. The government of Telangana, today 3 incidents I'd like to tell you, Zakka. One, BJP state president inciting violence. Just 5 minutes back, Zakka, we have tweeted it also. The BJP state president has given an appeal to the youth that they should have all pistols. They should all have pistols and be ready. Why does Bharatiya Janata Party need pistols? Simultaneously, there are workers of Bharatiya Janata Party who try to barge into a residence of our women leader, women politician Kavita ji. If ED is doing an investigation, let ED do investigation. Let ED give notices. How can Bharatiya Janata Party try to barge in, trespass into someone's residence?
Krishank, I'll ask this to Ratan Sharda and to Rishi Bagri, but very quickly, but very quickly, can I ask you, can I ask you one small thing? Very quickly, Krishank, can I ask you one thing? The BJP is saying that to Bandi Sanjay and others, you did not give police permission deliberately to carry out a rally. Is it a crime in Telangana for opposition parties to take out rallies? Why is police not giving permission? This is legitimate political activity. Why has the police denied permission for them to take out this rally?
Zakka, I wish the Delhi media there understands that, of course, BJP Bandi Sanjay doesn't get much of traction, but his Padayatra, this is his third phase Padayatra. Why was he arrested today? Because of his statements. This was on 15th August, I'm quoting Indian Express. Will become gundas, will resort to gundaism if needed, says Bharatiya Janata Party state president.
Okay.
In Padayatra, you speak about development or promise about what you want to do, but you are provoking statements, asking youngsters to pick up pistols. We cannot sit idle. Your party men come into our residences
Ratan Sharda, provocative statements have come from BJP leaders as well. That's why the Telangana police have acted. And Krishank Mane is also assuring on the broadcast tonight that if people have said Sar Tan Se Juda and they've been incited to say that, then action will be taken against those people as well, including this man Zafar Khan. Ratan Sharda.
Zakka, I have not heard Sanjay's statement. I cannot comment on that. I have heard snatches of what Raja said. It was totally uncalled for. It was not required. It is unnecessarily creating problem when the governments are trying to bring some peace to the society. Having said that, what is our secularism doing? A person who abused Hindu gods and goddesses, he is invited to Telangana by the chief minister saying we respect difference of opinion. So person who insults Ram, Lakshman and other gods has a freedom of opinion. But when D. Raja uses the same tool of freedom of opinion, he stopped from going ahead with the stopping of Farooqi. 1,000 police provided to Munawar to carry on with his show, and Raja is arrested. And now he is arrested. But there is one gentleman called Rashid Khan, Congress MLA, whose clips are available, who went to police station, threatened police with action within 24 hours against Raja, or he would burn his house, or he will. Then he said in a TV panel, or I was there, he said, if the law doesn't take its own course, we will do what we want to do. We are Muslims and we can't take any insult to our prophet, but Hindus can take insult. What kind of this argument is going on about TRS? They are the ones who instigated polarization by calling Munawar. And about AIMM, their friend AIMM, Mr. Akbaruddin said insulted gods openly, the gods and goddesses. Was any action taken? No. Their MP said hang Nupur Sharma at the corner. Was he removed? No, he was not removed. Suspended? No. Any action taken? No. Their corporate, of course, you already know. So this excuse of hundreds of people coming to police station and talking Sar Tan Se Juda, why are they so bold to say so in front of police station? Because they know police will not take action. Kashaf, one of the moles of IAM, was another TV channel, smiling, smirking all through the debate and not owning up any of the reasons why he called for violence. And TRS says we can't take action. We are looking technically. What technical? They are there openly coming into police station threatening you. And you are saying we can't do anything.
Words into my mouth.
This is
I haven't said
rubbish because you want to protect these people. That is your view, Mr. TRS officer. A very small monitor, I can't say, I'm sorry. But this approach of TRS is very selective, very difficult to apprehend and very difficult to see. They have not taken action all of the
Atikur Rahman, I want to ask a very simple question. Akbaruddin Owaisi, just a few weeks back, made this absolutely uncalled for comment about Hindu gods and goddesses. He said, मैं उनके नाम नहीं लेना चाहूँगा जो मनूस हैं. I mean, isn't that an insult to Hindu gods and goddesses? And yet, no Hindu came out in the streets of Hyderabad and said, Sar Tan Se Juda, or we will behead Akbaruddin Owaisi. In fact, I don't think, as far as I know, there's not even been any FIR against Akbaruddin Owaisi. If insulting Islam is one thing, How about insulting Hindu gods and goddesses? How come that is not considered blasphemous, or how come that is not considered a grave crime? Atikur Rahman.
Zakka, for me, if anything matters, is my religion and the Constitution of India, the IPC. Right now, if my religion is under, scanner, it's my responsibility as a researcher on Islamic studies to clear the air. What you mentioned is very much visible in the Quran itself, that do not revile the other gods. In turn, they will revile yours in their ignorance. What's happening in India is the same thing. One people are disregarding the other faiths, and the other faith is disregarding the others. Herein, what counts for me is to say to the people, to my community, that blasphemy as per the Quran is not established. For me, I should clear the air. I invite criticism for Prophet Muhammad. I invite criticism for the Quran and Allah. If anybody have any doubts related to my Quran, my Prophet, they can tweet me, they can come on my social media, they can call me personally.
Then tell me one thing. Atiq Saab, then tell me one thing. Then why is it that 2 weeks back a 24-year-old boy from Lebanon went and stabbed Salman Rushdie? Rushdie apparently wrote in satanic verses supposedly against your God, against your Prophet. I mean, if it was not blasphemous and if it was not insulting, then why did this boy from Lebanon go and stab him? Why did a man from Uzbekistan yesterday get caught in Russia? He was planning to attack one of the BJP leaders here in India. Uzbekistan or Nupur Sharma se kya lena dena hai? What is this violent ideology that's been foisted over the last 20 years कि इंडिया में किसी ने कुछ कोने में किसी ने बोल दिया मैं यमन से आऊंगा, मैं सीरिया से आऊंगा, उसका सर तन से जुदा कर दूंगा? ये कौन सा फिलॉसफी है? ये कौन सा आइडियोलॉजी है ये? अतीक साहब.
Zakka, we have a struggle within. Indoctrination, we have a struggle within Zakka. Indoctrination in the name of Islam is going on since ages. What Salman Rushdie did, what Taslima Nasreen did, even if they were, not acceptable to the religion of Islam, the fatwa by Khomeini was not at all Quranic, because it is not sanctioned by a state. A fatwa has relevance only if it is a Islamic caliphate, which in the nation-state system in the world, we do not have. This is a nation-state system we are living in.
Sir, I am asking, आप कह रहे हैं कि fatwas are not valid, आप कह रहे हैं कि what Khomeini issued is not valid. My point is, from Salman Rushdie to Samuel Paty to the Danish cartoonist to Charlie Hebdo to Taslima Nasreen and now Abhi the Nupur Sharma and Raja Singh, यही तो हो रहा है. And what is worrying is that people sitting in faraway countries, जिन्होंने Nupur Sharma का नाम भी सुना नहीं है, they are getting ready to become suicide bombers. Uzbekistan और Nupur Sharma का क्या लेना देना है बताइए? Those people are ready to come to India to blow up BJP leaders in the name of what? In the name of what ideology? ये कौन सी ideology है ये?
That's why I'm telling you, I need your support, the people's support, the government support to dispel this untruth related to religion, related to Quran. The terrorist elements, the radical elements are doing the same thing. They are misquoting the Quran and calling our people, our youth, to fight for religion.
Rishi Bagri as well as Mr. Reddy the advocate. I'm going to go to Rishi Bagri and to the advocate, Mr. Komi Reddy. Rishi, I'll start with you. Look, we are all Indian citizens. We are all duty bound to live under the Constitution of India, under the legal framework of India, whether it's the Indian Penal Code or the CRPC. As far as India is concerned, which is a constitutional democracy, there is no place for a punishment like blasphemy. There is no place for a punishment like Sar Tan Se Juda, because even for a terrorist like Ajmal Kasab, we extended the full legal recourse to him. He went to trial court, high court, Supreme Court. It's after that he was hanged, found guilty of his crimes. So there's no question of a Sar Tan Se Juda in a constitutional republic. Anybody who utters that, whether it's an MIM corporator or whether it is people outside Friday prayers, those people then need to be booked as per law, because the law of this land does not allow for any, punishment like this kind of reprehensible 7th century punishment where किसी का गला काट जाए, किसी का सर काट जाए.
Zakka, as you know, for constitution, all religions are equal and all religions should be respected equally. What irks me is the selectivity in the approach and singling out and mocking just one religion, which is very tolerant. Now, just take example. Munawar Farooqi can freely crack tasteless jokes on Ma Sita or those killed in the Godhra fire, and merrily stay free and given protection by deploying 1,000 state police personnel from the Telangana police for his comedy show. No, I will be the first, trust me, I will be the first to support Munawar Farooqi if he cracks similar jokes on Islam and Christianity, just like he regularly cracks jokes on Hinduism. Either you crack jokes on all the religion, or either you don't crack joke on any religion. You need to have that equality. And secondly, while Raja Singh has been suspended by BJP for crossing the line, and rightly so, for his derogatory remark for the Prophet, but there's no action has been taken by AIM corporator Jafar Khan for calling for the beheading, or TMC MP Mahua Mitra for openly mocking Shivling. You need to see this thing. And if this is the freedom of speech, I just want to know whether the freedom of speech is the one-way street. It goes in a one-way street. Does only the sentiment of one community matters to the opposition party? What about the sentiment of the majority of the community? Or the opposition party think that they are the second-class citizen and their sentiment means nothing to them? You need the selectivity which irritates the common people. You cannot be selective in your approach. If you say Nupur Sharma is wrong, then you have to also say others who are mocking the gods, like Hindu gods, are also wrong. You need to understand. And that selectivity actually is the problem in this case. The entire controversy is because of the selectivity, not because of the inclusivity.
No, that's the question that I asked the TRS spokesperson also, that yes, the Hyderabad police rightfully so acted against Raja Singh, but they're not showing the same alacrity, the same speed to act against Zafar Khan or others who are instigating these slogans. Let me get a word in the legal position from Mr. Komi Reddy, the lawyer on the panel. Mr. Komi Reddy, like I said, I'm very, very clear that the law of the land is supreme in this country. And as far as Indian law is concerned, there is absolutely no place for this kind of 7th century punishment, Sar Tan Se Juda, beheading for supposed blasphemy, etc. In fact, blasphemy is not even identified as a crime under the Indian Penal Code or the Criminal Procedure Code. The question is simply this, that if Nupur Sharma is hollowed through the coals, and rightfully so, and Raja Singh is hollowed through the coals, then why not these people who are openly, this is an incitement, active call to incitement for violence. If this is not, then I don't know what is. And in state after state, not just in Telangana, by the way. After Nupur Sharma incident, there were these open calls for Sar Tan Se Juda from Delhi to Mumbai to Karnataka, and today is the latest thing that we're seeing in Hyderabad. And nobody dared act against any of them.
Thanks for having me, Zakka. Basically, first of all, we need to condemn what Raja Singh said, and I'm glad you did that. And whatever the MIM corporate said also needs to be condemned, and similar action needs to be taken against him. But we must remember one thing, Zakka, whether it's Nupur Sharma or Raja Singh, these were the people who initiated it. And now we're speaking about Munawar. Munawar had to spend some time in jail for what he did. He did pay a price, and eventually the Supreme Court granted him bail. The Supreme Court did not ban or did not impose a gag out order asking him not to perform anywhere. So he was supposed to come to Hyderabad previously. He couldn't come for whatever reasons. And now he was here. And if I'm not mistaken, I've read the reports, I've not seen his show, but he did not crack a single joke on any of the gods or goddesses. So, then what? Raja Singh did put up a stiff resistance. He was not allowed to go to the show. He was taken into preventive detention to safeguard the law and order in the state. And subsequently, what has happened? This was totally uncalled for. And Raja Singh shouldn't have said this. And Hyderabad is one such city where there is a substantial amount of Muslim population. And if you look at the culture of Hyderabad, you seldom see any communal violence. I mean, this is a call to violence. And well, I don't know if I should be saying this. I was personally surprised that he's been let off on bail for the offenses that he's committed. Now, coming to what the MIM cooperator said, that is just not acceptable. The law should take its course. The police should not wait for any FIR to be registered. It's live, it's on air, it's on YouTube channels.
Yep.
It's an incitement to violence. The police should step in, suo moto take action and arrest him.
What sections would apply in this case? For the, as far as I can tell, it is active incitement to violence. So what sections would likely take premise here?
No, similar sections for Raja Singh as well. Raja Singh was, whatever sections have been applied to Raja Singh, similar sections have to be applied for the MIM cooperator as well. Whatever sections have applied to Zubair have to apply for the MIM cooperator as well. Whatever sections applied to Zubair have to be applied for Raja Singh. Well, you must take one thing into consideration. I mean, we're all going after the MIM cooperator, and let me be very clear on this. I am very clear that the police have to swing into action, arrest him. The law has to take its course. But please understand, Raja Singh did not spend a single minute in prison. Nupur Sharma did not spend single minute in prison. I will borrow the phrase of Supreme Court. The Honorable Supreme Court had said that the Delhi High Court has given a red carpet treatment to Nupur Sharma. On the other hand, Zubair has spent substantial amount of time in the in prison. So did Munawar. I mean, it is debatable whether he cracked a joke, did not crack a joke. That's a gray area. I don't want to get in there. But you must appreciate that there is no gag order against Munawar. He has a constitutional right of freedom of expression. The freedom of expression, I understand, is not absolute. There are certain restrictions. And I think his comedy show or whatever show that he performed in Hyderabad was well within those boundaries.
Okay.
Well, the police did extend him protection because that was the duty of the police. If you look at the Bangalore police, you know what they did. They did not allow him permission, but the Hyderabad police went ahead, granted him permission. It was a full house. It was reported widely in the press. He did not, I repeat,
Ratan Sharda, so Munawar Farooqui did not crack any jokes, at least in the Hyderabad show, did not crack any jokes against Hindu gods or goddesses. And also what Mr. Komireddy said, there was no bar by the Supreme Court when it granted him bail against performing in public.
May I add one
Ratan
point,
Sharda.
Zakka?
Yeah, one second, I'll come back to you. Yeah, Ratan Sharda.
I am horrified at the way a learned lawyer is trying to twist the law and using very partisan language all through his arguments. He says Nupur was the instigator. Doesn't he know that Taslim Rahmani is the instigator? There are people on the panel for 10 days who are insulting and abusing Hindu gods and goddesses. So there is a difference between something done during the debate in heat of the moment, and there is difference in somebody doing deliberately, whether Munawar Farooqui or D. Raja. And when you say D. Raja, Munawar Farooqui is saying that, okay, I don't know what he said on the comedy show. My dear friend, it is available on the video on YouTube day and night. So don't try to make excuses. No, so I didn't stop you. You made your argument. So you have no right to say, I do not know. As a lawyer, you have no right to say that I do not know what he said because it's open in the public. And today, if somebody says, Nupur is
Supreme Court order in Munawar Farooqi's case.
Did I disturb you? Did I disturb you? Don't disturb me. When you say Munawar Farooqui has right to keep on doing his profession, but Nupur Sharma should stay continuously lifelong in the four walls, so she is threatened for life. Because if you see what has happened to Salman Rushdie, who created a scenario? Your own friends on the social media instigated this violence, and you are defending them. So this kind of pettiness of partial attitude is not due for a lawyer. And you talked about your Telangana government. I asked, why did Telangana government welcome a person who has been refused entry in many states because he spews and venom? So should Hindus have created Sar Tan Se Juda for the Munawar Farooqui? Because Hindus don't do it when they protest, you say that they are intolerant, they are not.
Okay, let Krishank Mane and Kalimul Hafiz respond to that. Krishank Mane, this is a comedian who has insulted Hindu gods and goddesses. There were numerous states that refused to give him permission to hold his comedy show, but you went ahead and you had apparently 1,000 policemen and women to guard the venue where he was performing. Why do you need to do this?
Show, Zakka?
Trishank Mane.
Zakka, has he violated anything on this show? Either Rishi or any other BJP leader or their mouthpieces, have they got any visual? If there is so, please share it. Immediately, government of Telangana will book a case on them. There is no partisan attitude at all. I've told you very clearly in my beginning remarks. I've told you that regarding those sloganeering also, see tomorrow morning, definitely cases will be booked and the same action taken on Raja Singh will also be done. But coming about Munawar Farooqi, when any activity from any organization, be it the right organizations also, many people have come here. They've given statements, and when their statements were scrutinized, they have been booked. But before they coming preempting hypothetically that they are going to speak this, no, in Telangana, law and order doesn't function like Bharatiya Janata Party ruled states.
So
Many Yogi ji has come here and Yogi ji also has come in. Yogi ji has come here also and has given statements here.
Congress
Yogi ji
MLA
also,
threatened the police in the police station. You did not
even
take action.
Amit Shah ji, who had a record of such being boycotted from his state, also can come to Telangana. But they will be under scrutiny. After they speak, definitely they'll be booked. Because we know that law and order is under control. So Amit Shah ji can come, who was sent out of his own state. The same way, if Farooqi has done a mistake in his show, he will be booked. But without he doing it, you cannot have the garb of Farooqi and say that Raja Singh spoke this because he did that. No. In the video, the content is nothing related to Farooqi's show at all. We have seen the entire day of argument of BJP and their spokespersons or their mouthpieces that they are bringing in Farooqi's issue. No, these two are not related at all. Raja Singh wanted to be one more Nupur Sharma. He has thought that Nupur Sharma has gathered mileage. Nupur Sharma has gathered mileage. Nothing has affected at all. Though BJP suspended her, the rank and file of BJP, suniye bhai sahab, BJP, the troll batch, has even trolled Supreme Court. They have not spared the Supreme Court also on the remarks. So Nupur Sharma became a hero for Bharatiya Janata Party. Raja Singh wanted to follow the same suit. And that is why he's given the statement. He wanted to be Nupur Sharma. So I think we should not discuss on Munawar Farooqi or Raja Singh because it was not
one second, one at a time. I want to pull back from both Trishank Mane and Ratan Sharda. 1 second. Let me go to Kalimul Hafiz. Kalimul Hafiz, I come back to the larger question. अकबरुद्दीन ओवैसी आके हिंदू देवी देवताओं के बारे में मजाक उड़ा सकते हैं, मुनावर फरूकी हिंदू देवी देवताओं के बारे में मजाक उड़ा सकते हैं, लेकिन जब राजा सिंह बोलता है या नुपुर शर्मा बोलती है तब सब लोग सड़क पे आ जाके मतलब कहते हैं कि सर तन से जुदा. तो एक ही स्टैंडर्ड होना चाहिए ना. अकबरुद्दीन ओवैसी का एक केस तो अदालत तक गई और अदालत ने उनको बरी कर दिया. उन्होंने बोला कि कुछ गलत ही नहीं बोला इन्होंने. तो या तो सेम ही रूल हो, सब हिंदुस्तानी है, सब लोगों के लिए आईपीसी का जो भी धारा है वो लगना चाहिए, नहीं तो देन लेट्स एक्सेप्ट दैट देयर आर डिफरेंट रूल्स फॉर डिफरेंट फोक्स इन दिस कंट्री.
देखिए, कानून की बात तो हमारे वकील साहब ने बता दी जो रेड्डी साहब है, लेकिन मैं बात ये पूछ रहा हूं कि अगर मुनव्वर फारूकी इतने बड़े गुनहगार हैं तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की जो चहेती हैं, जो हीरोइन है कंगना रनौत, उन्होंने 200 एपिसोड किए और पूरे दुनिया को दिखाया और सेलिब्रेट किया मुनव्वर फारूकी को, उसे विनर करार दिया. क्या किसी की हिम्मत हुई या अभी भी?
सर क्या बात कर रहे हैं, वो तो प्राइवेट प्रोग्राम है, उसका क्या लेना देना है, वो तो प्राइवेट चैनल में प्राइवेट प्रोग्राम है. आप क्या कैसे मतलब कंपैरिजन दे रहे हैं आप?
मुनव्वर फारूकी सेम पर्सन है.
अरे तो क्या हुआ, कल को उसको एक फिल्म में अगर कास्ट कर लेते हैं और कंगना रनौत उसके ऑपोजिट हीरोइन का रोल निभाती है, तो फिर क्या बोलेंगे आप? वो तो प्राइवेट है, उसमें कोई उसमें अच्छा, मतलब वो कंपैरेबल ही नहीं है.
प्राइवेट है.
नहीं आप मुद्दे पे आइए. मैं मैं आपसे सीधा पूछ रहा हूँ, फारूकी का रहने दीजिए. आपके जो लीडर है अकबरुद्दीन ओवैसी, उन्होंने क्या बोला? नहीं क्या वो आपत्तिजनक था कि नहीं था, बस उतना बोलिए.
अब मैं दूसरी बात पूछता हूँ आपसे.
नहीं मैं पूछ रहा हूँ ना, मैं एंकर हूँ, आप जवाब दीजिए. नहीं आप एंकर हैं कि मैं एंकर हूँ? मैं एंकर हूँ ना, तो मैं सवाल पूछूंगा, आप जवाब दीजिए. क्या
आप मेरे-
अकबरुद्दीन ओवैसी ने
आप
हिंदू
जा
देवी
नहीं सकते
देवताओं
कहीं
के
भी।
बारे में बोला,
डॉक्टर साहब, आप
क्या
बच
वो
नहीं सकते।
आपत्तिजनक है कि नहीं है? बस सीधा सा सवाल है, हाँ या
आप
ना?
जो टारगेट करना चाह रहे हैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी की चीजों को कवर फायर दे रहे हैं, आप दे
अरे
नहीं सकते।
कलीमुल
आप
साहब,
बताइए,
क्या
ज्ञानदेव
क्या क्या
आहूजा
बातें लेके आ
ने-
रहे हैं? क्या आपके
नहीं,
पास
ज्ञानदेव
मेरे सवाल का
आहूजा ने
जवाब
ये
है
काम
कि
में
नहीं
5
है?
मारे,
बस
उस पर आपका क्या कहना है?
आपके
पास
पास सुनिए, दो मिनट शांति से सुनिए।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने
नहीं
उसके खिलाफ
नहीं, 2 मिनट शांति से सुनिए, 10 सेकेंड मतलब चैन
बोलिए।
चैन से रहिए। मैं सवाल सीधा सीधा सवाल है। आपके पार्टी के बड़े नेता है अकबरुद्दीन ओवैसी, उन्होंने कहा कि मैं हिंदू देवी देवताओं का नाम लेना नहीं चाहूंगा जो मनूस है या खड़ूस है, जो भी उन्होंने बोला। क्या ये आपत्तिजनक नहीं है?
देखिए, मैं आपसे जो मैंने जो सवाल किए कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की पूरी सीरीज है और एक नहीं है। नूपुर शर्मा के बाद नवीन जिंदल के बाद आहूजा के बाद अब ये राजा, और राजा के इनके सबके सपोर्ट में इनकी पूरी मोडस ऑपरेंडी है। ये बाकायदा इनको सपोर्ट करते हैं और दिखाने के लिए अभी सस्पेंड कर दिया इन्होंने। टर्मिनेट क्यों नहीं किया? अगर वो ऑफेंस था और अगर सरकार मानती है तो उसे टर्मिनेट के लिए 10 दिन का उसे वक्त क्यों दिया गया? ये सब जो है हिपोक्रेसी है। अब उसको आप बैलेंस करने के लिए 10 साल पुरानी कहानी लेके आए। सब अकबरुद्दीन ने ऐसा कहा था, तो अब उसका इससे क्या रिलेशन
क्या
है?
उसने कहा नहीं था? नहीं, आपके इम्तियाज जलील ने औरंगाबाद में पब्लिक चौक से क्या बोला था?
नहीं, मैं पूछ
नहीं,
रहा हूं
इम्तियाज
आपसे कि
जलील
आप
तो
इसको
आपका
correlate
विधायक
क्यों
है।
करते हैं? जब आप
क्या
कंगना
क्या
रनावत
बोला
को
था उन्होंने
correlate करने
कि
को तैयार
औरंगाबाद के जो चौक हैं वहां से नुपुर शर्मा को टांगना चाहिए? कि बोला था कि नहीं बोला था? क्या आप
किसने
उसको
बोला?
कंडेम करते हैं?
जी बिल्कुल कंडेम करते हैं हम। हमने हमारी
उनके
पार्टी का
खिलाफ
कुछ
क्या
line
एक्शन
नहीं है।
लिया आपने?
हमने भारत
आपके विधायक है,
संविधान
आपके
में
सांसद है
जो
वो,
भी
क्या क्या
जिसकी
एक्शन
सजा
लिया
वो
आपने?
मिलनी
बताइए।
चाहिए। जी,
आपने आपके विधायक
क्या
के
कहा?
खिलाफ क्या एक्शन लिया? कुछ भी लिया
नहीं,
आपने?
नहीं, देखिए हमारी
जिन्होंने
पार्टी
आप
की
कह
जो
रहे हैं कि
official line
आपत्तिजनक है,
हमने
उन्होंने
बताया।
आके बोला कि
देखिए,
वो उनको औरंगाबाद के चौक से टांग देना चाहिए। क्या कुछ एक्शन लिया आपकी पार्टी ने?
नहीं, उसमें देखिए जो
क्या
उन्होंने
शो
कहा
कॉज
था,
तक भेजा आपने? नहीं भेजा ना?
सुनिए, देखिए उसमें एक बीप थी, लेकिन मैं उसके बाद भी कहता हूं, अनुराग ठाकुर ने कहा कि देश के गद्दारों
अरे
को,
दोबारा वही
कपिल
बात
शर्मा
लेके
ने
आ
कहा
रहे हैं
गोली
आप।
मारो।
मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूं, आपने क्या एक्शन लिया है? आप
जंतर
उसका
मंतर
जवाब
पे
ही नहीं
ये
देते
कहा
हैं,
कि-
आप किसी और पे फोकस करने शुरू कर देते हैं।
नहीं, फोकस नहीं, मैं तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की
मैं
सच्चाई बता
सीधा
रहा
सा
हूं।
सवाल पूछ रहा हूं, इम्तियाज जलील
नहीं,
के
मैं भी आपसे
खिलाफ
सीधे-
आपके
मैं-
पार्टी ने
मैं उसका
क्या
जवाब दे
एक्शन
रहा हूं।
ली है अभी तक? बताइए।
अभी तक मैं आपको सीधा ही जवाब दे रहा हूं कि आप 10-10 साल पुरानी कहानी उठा के ला रहे हैं। अभी की बात क्यों नहीं करते?
अरे ये अभी की बात ही है इम्तियाज जलील के जो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, अभी की बात ही है। नुपुर शर्मा के बाद ही हुआ है, उन्होंने जो बयान दिया है।
चिल्लाएंगे, इस पे कौन सी क्या सजा दे दी? किसी को भी सजा नहीं हुई। बीजेपी वालों ने वो रैली निकाली जंतर मंतर पे, प्रधानमंत्री
Atikur
की लाठी
Rahman.
नीचे
No,
निकाली।
I come back to the larger question, and this is very deeply worrying for a young 24-year-old from Lebanon to stab Salman Rushdie. I mean, he was probably not even born. In fact, yeah, he was not even born when Satanic Verses came out. And then yesterday, the man from Uzbekistan, who probably does not even know where India is on a map of the world, for him to go to Turkey and then go to Russia, to come to India, the plan was to come to India to blow up a BJP leader. I mean, what is this ideology, Atikur Rahman? I mean, what is it that's driving somebody who sits in Uzbekistan who doesn't have a damn clue about India to come to Delhi to blow up a BJP leader? What is this ideology?
Zakka, first of all, we will have to shun our over-sensitivity and getting offended on these tribal issues. I call upon all the religious leaders to form a forum for a dialogue and a debate on anything under the skies. If I claim to be a researcher on Islamic studies, I am trained to answer and remove the misconceptions related to my religion, my prophet, my scriptures. Why to get oversensitive? If in this 21st century social media thing, you are getting oversensitive, every day you will be cropping up such issues. And politicians will get the maximum mileage out of it.
If people are killing writers for something that they wrote 30 years ago, you don't think that's an issue worth debating? If people are willing to travel from Russia and Uzbekistan to come to India to blow up politicians, you don't think that is worth debating? Of course it is worth debating.
A book for a book, a poem for a poem, a portrait for a portrait is the answer. Why to get oversensitive?
Ratan
No
Sharda, and then
beheading, no
I'll give
blasphemy.
Rishi Bagri and Mr. Komi Reddy the final word. Yeah, Ratan Sharda, quickly, please. Yeah.
See, first of all, I would request people to give some space to people like Atikur Rahman, and I had another Maulana Qasmi, another show, and there are a few more who are ready to speak boldly against these terrorist elements, these radical elements. We should support such people. I have time and again talked about Nahdlatul Ulama in Indonesia, which is working for more than 90 years to take care of radicalism not finding place in Indonesia, educating women, boys and girls, and creating a modern version of Islam. Why can't our Maulanas should come together and respond to these kind of extremist elements?
Okay.
And that is what media should do, rather than calling all these Maulanas who are out there to create hate.
Okay.
And these politics.
Rishi Bagri, the political charge against the BJP is they are deliberately keeping this issue alive in Telangana because polarization is the way in which BJP wins elections, and Telangana is an important state for BJP come 2024. Therefore, it's in their interest to keep this issue alive. And ये भी जो भी suspension हुआ है T Raja Singh का, उनको bail भी मिल गया, and he'll come back into the party as well. This is the political charge. Rishi.
Are you asking me?
Rishi Bagri.
Okay.
No, I just want to say, I mean, those people were comparing Nupur Sharma, Naveen Jindal, and everyone. You need to understand one thing: there's a two different ideology which is working. If you see, if Nupur Sharma has made a statement, she is facing the law. She has been suspended from the party, but she will never able to walk freely in her life. She will always have to stay in a hidden way. But you see the Munawar Farooqi or Mohammed Zubair, he is free to leave their life. Actually, there's no danger to their life. But the moment Nupur Sharma walks out of her home, nobody knows which fanatics will come and behead her. So there's a big difference which we need to understand, and which we need to introspect. This kind of thing is happening in our country. Okay. If there need to be a equal selectivity, equal inclusivity rather than selective approach, which is happening.
Mr. Komi Reddy, final word, 30 seconds. I've got to wrap up. Do you see the Hyderabad police acting against Zafar Khan just like they acted against Raja Singh?
I don't know if they will, but they should. The law should swing into action. He needs to be picked up not tomorrow, but today. Because what he said is on air. So, of course, he needs to be arrested now. Because they don't need anyone to complain. They can take suo motu action. Having said that, may I just add, we've referred to the OIC case time and time again, but we must appreciate that OIC spent a substantial amount of time in prison. We've referred to Munawar Farooqi's case time and time again. We must appreciate that he spent a substantial time in prison. But the irony is that Raja Singh did not spend a single minute in prison, neither did Nupur Sharma. Now, I have another question for TRS as well. There was substantial evidence against Akbaruddin Owaisi. He's been acquitted by the lower court. The tragedy is that the government has not filed an appeal against Owaisi in the High Court.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening. The law has to be equal for everybody, regardless of what his religion is, what his gender is, what his caste is. Owaisi has paid the price. He needs to pay a bigger price. It's a shame that the TRS government has not filed an appeal against Owaisi's acquittal in the High Court. That is the tragedy.
All right,
so
I'm going to leave it at that. I'll end with that comment that Mr. Komi Reddy made. I'm completely out of time. That yes, the law has to be applied equally, whether it is to a Nupur Sharma or a Raja Singh or even a Zafar Khan for that matter, or an Akbaruddin Owaisi. We'll see how this story plays out in Hyderabad. We'll take a quick break here on the program. When we come back, there are massive floods across Madhya Pradesh and it's not looking good across large parts of the state. We'll have details on that story and more right on the other side.